Cute.
Hi guys, I'm Amata Balachandra, your host. I'm going to be talking to you today about the Bangalore drug bust case and everything basically you need to know because this is a very complicated case. There are lots of celebrities involved, politicians involved. Two famous actors in the South, Ragini Dwivedi and Sanjana Galrani's names have cropped up as well. So we're going to be, trying to understand what the case is about. How did it start? How did this start with the multi-city raid? So to help us understand that step by step, we have Theja Ram, who is a Karnataka bureau chief of the News Minute, joining us. Theja, first of all, welcome. Okay, so Teja, I'm going to be starting straight off with the case. If you can help us understand the case a little better, if you can first go back to August, it began in the last week of August, right? So, how did the multi-city raids first start before we get to the celebrities bit?
In August this year, the Narcotics Control Bureau conducted raids in Mumbai. They arrested a couple, and later, based on information, they raided 3 locations in Bangalore and arrested 3 people. They seized 180 LSD blots and 211 grams of MDMA. They recovered some cash. So soon after this arrest was made and the interrogation was happening, on August 29th, the Narcotics Control Bureau issued a statement that several actors and musicians from Karnataka were under the scanner for consuming drugs. So it was at around this time that the media started asking questions about who could it possibly be. And it was later that filmmaker Indrajit Lankesh on September 1st, on August 31st, that he came and said that he knew he had a list of names of actors who consume drugs.
So if I can talk to you about that, of course, there was a media interaction that he did on in the last week of August, right? What led to that? This was after the raids that were conducted.
Yes, this was after the raids that were conducted, and it was also the time when the local media here were asking a lot of questions about who could these actors possibly be that the NCB had spoken about. It was after this that Indrajit Lankesh gave the statement to the media saying that he had a list of it. He was summoned by the CCB for questioning, where he came out and said that he knew he had given them a list of names of and also a list of places where these parties had happened.
Okay, so I have that statement that filmmaker Indrajit Lankesh made. He said some actors do consume drugs, mostly at the parties. I'm aware that they consume drugs inside their vanity vans. And after that statement, there were more arrests that took place. First was Ragini Dwivedi and then Sanjana Galrani. But was this the, reason for the arrest to happen?
This is how the media started covering, but what the CCB claims is that they had been probing this since late April this year, and that they had been surveilling a lot of players in this case, and only and the Narcotics Bureau, it could have spoken about these actors under the scanner because they probably knew about the investigation. But the CCB claims that they had been surveilling a lot of people. On September 1st, they made the first arrest in this case, and it was called, there was this man called Ravi Shankar. He was a clerk at the RTO office in Jayanagar in Bengaluru, and he was a close friend of actor Ragini Dwivedi. It was after this that the CCB summoned actor Ragini Dwivedi for questioning, since she replied saying that she couldn't. On September 4th, they raided her house and they took her in for questioning, and she was subsequently arrested.
And if you can also help us understand what was found, because the questioning took place for almost 6 to 8 hours, Ragini's and then subsequently Sanjana's. If you can tell us what was found in their homes, or was it just basically based on tip-offs from peddlers?
So after the arrest, so the police claimed that they were surveilling Ravi Shankar for weeks before he was arrested. And what the police say is that they did not find any drugs in terms of material evidence at Ragini Dwivedi's house, but they've seized a lot of electronic equipment, including 2 of her mobile phones. And they say that they've retrieved a lot of digital evidence which show that they were procuring drugs for these parties. And I don't know I don't know whether the CCB has evidence of them procuring of them distributing the drugs, but they say that these once they procured the drugs, that like Ravi Shankar and Ragini Dwivedi, they distributed it at these parties that they attended.
Okay, so basically there were multi-city raids, you said, in the last week of August, and then these celebrities' name cropped up after filmmaker Indrajit Lankesh spoke to the media, and then Ragini Dwivedi and subsequently Sanjana Galrani's arrest took place. They stand arrested. But if you can tell us right now, how did politicians' names crop up? Because, for instance, on 6th of September, Aditya Alva, who is Vivek Oberoi's brother-in-law, also the son of Janata Dal minister late Jeevaraj Alva. How did his name crop up?
So what happened is, what the CCB say is that Aditya Alva is accused number 6 in this case. And on September 4th, when the CCB arrested Ragini Dwivedi, they registered a case in Cottonpate police station and his name appeared in the FIR. So what the police said is that Aditya Alva had a resort called House of Life, where located in Hebbal in Bengaluru, where he allegedly hosted several of these parties. In fact, one of his associate named Vaibhav Jain, who was a gold merchant in the city, he too was arrested. The police claim that the Central Crime Branch claims that he was procuring drugs for Aditya Alva's parties from Mumbai.
Okay. And post that, we know that on September 8th, Mahalakshmipuram's Congress corporator Keshav Murthy's son Yashas was also questioned. If you can help us understand all the politicians involved, because we got to the celebrities, but we'll come back to it. But if you can help us understand why Yashas was also involved.
So we don't know whether the CCB's case and the Narcotics Bureau's case intersect at any point, but there were NCB sources which said that they had found a lot of numbers of actors on Anika, one of the arrested accused in Bangalore, named Anika, who was a student turned dealer. So they found some numbers on the phone, but apart from that, there seems to be no other connection which has come to light as of yet. So this is Yashas was questioned in connection with the drug seizures that happened in Anika's house, and he was
which is in late August.
Yes, it was in late August.
Yes, and that was an intercity raid. If you can tell us a little bit of it.
So what happened is in Bombay, the NCB conducted the raids on August 21st. They conducted a raid and they arrested a couple. And they seized huge amounts of LSD and MDMA from their possession. And when they were questioned, they revealed that there were other dealers in Bangalore who were also procuring drugs from the dark web. These Anika and 2 others who were arrested, the allegations that they were procuring drugs from Belgium. It was the same contraband which they had got. So Anika's house was raided, and the other 2 were arrested. Huge amounts of drugs were seized. So they were trying to figure out who were the people who were procuring drugs from Anika, to see if they were only using it or whether they were in fact like selling it or distributing it. So that was the purpose of the investigation.
So basically, you're saying that Anika is the prime accused in this particular case, and he heard in the NCB's case, and post that it was transferred to the CCB because
no.
Yes,
There are 2
was
parallel investigations.
Okay.
One is being conducted by the NCB, which is probing the intercity drug bust where the LSD and MDMA were seized.
Okay.
The CCB is probing a drug case. So what they say is that the suspicion started when a woman actor and her friend had gone to a party which was organized at one of these farmhouses or resort type of place on April 4th. This was during the lockdown.
Okay.
And what had happened was her Jaguar crashed into the Vasanagar railway bridge. So the police said that it was considered as a traffic accident and an accident case was filed by the jurisdictional police, but they did not probe it further. And the CCB says that the suspicion was that they were consuming drugs because they seem to believe that the actors who were arrested were also there at that party.
Okay.
So these are 2 parallel investigations which are happening. And obviously, because there is interagency information, they would know about each other's cases, which is probably why the NCB had issued a statement saying that a lot of actors were under the scanner. And in
Okay.
fact, even in Anika's phone, the numbers that they had found, they are also trying to probe that angle as well.
Okay, so as far as the CCB's case is concerned, are all of these people involved? Is there any information that you've got from your sources within the police who probably telling you what the approach is right now? Because first of all, there are drug peddlers, then there are people who are consuming these drugs, then there are people who are throwing parties. Because on the 4th of September, Socialite was also arrested.
Yeah, so Viren Khanna, he's one of the first party planners who was there in Bangalore. He's been around the block for a long time. He also founded this thing called Bangalore Expats Club. So he was the one who would bring the crowds to parties. He was one of these people who used to organize these parties. And the thing is that these actors were all, the allegation is that these actors used to attend Viren Khanna's parties, and also that he used to procure drugs from another accused named Loon Pepper Simon. He's a Senegalese national, and the allegation is that Loon Pepper got these drugs from the dark web, which were financed by Viren Khanna, and that he distributed them in these parties. Now we don't know whether there was a monetary exchange for the drugs that were distributed in the party, or whether there was. So that is one of the, that is his connection to it. So all these people in the CCB's case are connected because of the parties that they would attend.
Okay. And what are the actors accused of? Is it consumption or is it peddling
Consumption and distribution in the parties.
in the parties? And where does it go from here? How many people are arrested, if you can also tell us that? And where does it go from here?
Around 13 people have been arrested so far. So these are Ragini Dwivedi, Sanjana Galrani, the party planner Viren Khanna, Ragini's friend Ravi Shankar, Sanjana's friend Rahul Tonse, Aditya Alva, that is Vivek Oberoi's brother-in-law, his associate Vaibhav Jain, who's also the gold merchant, he's been arrested. Loon Pepper has been arrested. There was another African national who was arrested 2 days ago. They've arrested a few other people accused of being drug peddlers called as Pratik Shetty. Now, Pratik Shetty was has a prior record under the NDPS Act as well. He had gone to, he was in jail for possession of 90 grams of marijuana, and he was out on bail in 2019. So this person has also been arrested in connection with this case. And there are several other peddlers like this Prashant Ranka, another person who's accused of peddling. So these are
And
the
more celebrities will be questioned because on Wednesday, Andrita Ray, actors Andrita Ray and Vigat were also questioned.
Yes, so the CCB is saying that from their investigations, they have digital evidence of who attended these parties, and they say that Viren Khanna had created a WhatsApp group which included all these people who used to send invites for these parties, and they used to have different WhatsApp groups for different things. So they are basically questioning everybody in connection with this. So Digant and Aindrata were also called, and the CCB say that some of the arrested accused also revealed their names. So they're questioning everyone's names that are coming up right now.
Has the police revealed any more names? If you can tell us some inside information apart from the ones that are already in the media.
I don't know if I can say that because
Okay.
the actors haven't been issued some,
Question.
uh,
Okay.
or they have not been summoned for questioning. So I don't know whether it would be legally okay for me to reveal that
All
information.
right. So one last question. Where does this leave the investigation? What information are you getting in from the police? Because you said that 13 people have been arrested. There are more, people to be questioned as
Yeah, there are more people. What they're saying is they are going to take it on a step-by-step basis. So the investigation is divided into the suppliers who procured drugs from the dark web, and they say that most of these people were from African countries, and they are also seeing whether there are other individuals involved in this, and then the middlemen or the peddlers who procured them from these people and distributed them in the party. And then they're also looking at, in fact, the enforcement directorate has been roped in to probe these Hawala transactions because they say that it was paid in Bitcoin. So
Oh.
the finances of all the actors are being scrutinized because they want to find out whether they've how did they get the money for this for these to buy huge amounts of drugs.
Okay, so basically, in a nutshell, Teja told us that there are two parallel investigations taking place. It started off with multi-city raids in August by the NCB. Then, of course, the CCB got involved, where a lot of actors, politicians are also being questioned. Two of them have already been arrested, Ragini Dwivedi and Sanjana Galrani. Two other actors were also questioned. Some politicians are also involved, but the ED, she says, has now been also roped in to see Hawala transactions, to look into that angle, and 13 people have been arrested. Thank you, Teja, for joining us and giving us that perspective.